All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans, sponsored by Lionbolt Media. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and feature titan for today. I'm super excited about this one, all the way from beautiful Chicago, none other than Julie Busby. Julie, it's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. I love that you have this production, and it's very cool. I'm excited to be a part of it. So thank you.
Yeah, hey, it's our honor and our pleasure. And I know the audience is super excited about this one, really just to dive into who you are and what makes you tick and everything in between as one of the best and brightest minds in the real estate world. So Julie, without further ado, let's just dive into the series of questions. And I guess we want to start with the first one, which is really just telling everybody a little bit about yourself. So who you are, where you're from, what got you into the biz, and your path and progression to where you are to today. What's that look like?
Sure. So my name is Julie Busby. I am the founder of Busby Group. We are a top 1% in Chicago production team in Chicagoland. I started my career 20 years ago in San Diego. Throw you for a little loop, not in Chicago.
Okay.
I started my career in San Diego. I became a top broker in San Diego.
Wow.
And from being a top broker in San Diego, I knew another top broker in Chicago. So when I moved out to Chicago, we joined forces, became number one in the city. And then from there, I just grew my career even further in Chicago and eventually founded Busby Group. Yeah. So I started my career I actually was in marketing. I worked at a .com before I was in real estate.
Love it.
And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I always had a passion for real estate. And I approached a woman at my church and said, hey, I know that you are a realtor. I'd love to work for you for free. And lo and behold, I had no idea she was the number 3 broker in the entire nation.
Wow.
Worked for her for free for a few months, got my license, and then the rest is history. So I always recommend putting yourself out there. You may think that some of these top brokers don't need help, but we do. And we're happy for free support too. And you never know where it's going to lead you.
Oh my gosh, Julie. But I love that story and kind of that lineage as you lay out, and coming from, San Diego, ultra competitive market, to really hit the pinnacle, into that realm is not easy to do, but then to look at it and then to do it again. It's so beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. It's kind of crazy. I've launched my career twice, but I feel very fortunate. What's neat is you get to learn, from what you did the first time and maybe adjust things in the new marketplace, which has really helped my team grow.
Oh my gosh. And I love that, Julie. And again, for anybody who's tuning in right now, who's thinking to themselves, gosh, I don't know if I should relocate. I've got a solid thing going on here with my business and I don't know what to do. I mean, Julie has literally done it. And there's nothing stopping you from really hitting those highest of expectations but yourself. And, it's just one of those things where the proven processes and track records, as Julie had mentioned, to repeat that. If it's done once, it can be done again, which I absolutely love. But Julie, I want to talk a little bit about when you made kind of that thought process of as an individual to growing a team and kind of your progression into your thought process there.
Sure. So I touched on in San Diego, I was able to, adapt what I did there and maybe adjust things when I got to Chicago. In San Diego, I was a solo broker. I had an admin, but no true buyer support, no seller support. I didn't think I was that much of a producer to do that. I thought it would be silly to, and that's part of my things I wanted to chat about today is, there comes a point at your production level where it makes sense to get some support because it can help springboard you to the next level. So when I first came out to Chicago and I was solo and started growing my business, but I brought on someone to be my support when I was a $10 million producer. People thought, what? You're 10 million. You're not ready for support. But once I brought in, someone to help support me, I was able to grow to 20 million, then to 30 million. And once I did get to 20 million, that is when I I was looking at, okay, how do I compare to what I did in San Diego? And I did see that it would really help to bring on a broker. So I did bring on a broker at 20 million. I
Wow.
will also say it was life circumstances. I was also about to have a baby,
Oh, cool.
and realtors, we don't get any paid leave. So what are you going to do? And
Right.
it's either refer your business out or get a partner on your team to help you. So I brought on a broker, and it was the best thing I ever did, because it just springboarded and we've grown a team eventually from that.
Wow, huge. And I love the fact that you're identifying and addressing real life, right, Julie? I mean, there's so much polish and posturing into real estate, and mainly the consumer sees it for the most part, but internally to other real estate professionals, everyone has real lives attached, families and desires and goals and dreams in and of itself to real estate. And the fact that you were able to position yourself to really have that exponential growth, but still, have a family and, keep hitting those things. I mean, to me, that's absolutely incredible. And no matter what happens in our lives, we can just keep moving forward and expanding. But what I'm picking up onto that is you're identifying very early on, bringing people on and taking things off of your plate was
Yes.
exponential for your growth and for leverage points. So
Yes.
what does it look like now for the Busby Group and kind of what you guys do, for Chicago and everything in the real estate industry? Where are you guys looking and growing and expanding that way internally to Chicago? I mean, what's the team look like?
Sure. So we're a pretty dynamic, we have grown to be pretty large, but that also helps us keep our service level to very high standard.
Beautiful.
Yes, I originally started my career providing excellent service. I had seen, I'll rewind back a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I moved to Chicago, I didn't know I was going to actually still continue real estate. I had the
Oh.
same thought that you were, said, as
Mhm.
it's someone struggling of like, I want to move marketplaces, but I have a career here. How could I do that? I
Mm.
was very much thinking I've reached the pinnacle of my career. How could I ever top that? I'm going to start over in Chicago doing something else.
Wow.
So I moved out to Chicago and was going to open a fitness studio,
Mm.
and I was working with realtors to help target that commercial space. And
Yeah.
honestly, I just was so dissatisfied with the service. It
Mm.
just didn't feel, I didn't feel comfortable with anyone. And
Unreal.
it was hard. And so that's when I decided, okay, I am going to get licensed. Okay, I'll partner with this other top producer that I know. And let's do something here, because
Mm.
the service level was not to the caliber that I was giving in San Diego. So
Yeah.
I started my career providing excellent service. And I'm not going to diminish that just
Mm.
because we've grown. In fact, we're growing because we offer this excellent service level. So we are a large group, but it's so that we can be very handhold, help our clients. I even have a director of concierge to help our
Ah,
clients.
wow.
So it is very unique to Busby Group. I don't know anyone else who has a director of concierge.
Yeah.
If we have buyers coming in from out of town, we help them find their hotel, help them get their spa treatment, whatever it may be, because finding a home can be stressful, especially in this marketplace right now.
Yeah.
So, and we help them experience Chicago, which is a
Mm.
wonderful city. But then even moreover than that, if we're representing a seller, if they go out of town and an Amazon package is delivered, we're picking it up. I have picked
Wow.
up Amazon packages. I mean, we are watering plants. We are turning off the water so the pipes don't freeze.
Mm.
We are their concierge, and I keep saying we're your property advocates the whole step of the way.
Yeah.
Um,
I,
so
I I mean, Julie, when you had mentioned that, and not to interrupt you,
no,
but I want to hit that home to anybody who's watching or listening right now, is not getting away from the fundamentals of service, right? And
yes,
doing the job above and beyond just a status quo. And Julie, you wouldn't be the person that you are today without that mentality and thought process, and nor would your team, right? So
correct.
I think that that's a beautiful representation or example for other real estate professionals to say, look, look to what Julie is doing and has done. And it's there. The path is laid, and you can add these thought processes or systems or directives into any market that you serve.
Absolutely.
You went from San Diego to Chicago. I mean, look, there's the perfect match there. So I don't know. I just love that. I love that you mentioned the concierge and that thought process for service for sure.
Good. Yes,
Yeah.
that's something that really sets us apart is our service level at Busby Group. It's important.
Yeah,
So
that to me is
part of the
really,
brand.
it's huge because it's a differentiating factor, and every real estate professional is looking to say, hey, how can I stand out amongst the many that are in my competitive market, and again get to the top. And everybody who knows and tunes into Titans, every one of you has different perspectives on how to get there, but there's some fundamental truths that everyone are doing is, treating people the right way, putting in the work, putting in the time, doing the business above and beyond, and really going out of your way to make sure that everyone involved in the transaction under any circumstances is just treated the best possible outcome. And not everybody's heart's in it all that way, Julie, and you know that. So it's just nice to hear it directly from a true pro. So let's get into that side of it, because so many people tune in and they want to know, what have the Titans done, or what are they doing to really grow, to really scale? Now, you've already shared some really great stuff, Julie, which is huge to the concierge, and then building and growing and scaling in a team. But if you could look back at your career into personal perspective and pick or choose one or two things that you might have added or implemented that you really saw movement, you saw growth in your business, what does that look like? What advice would you give anybody tuning in?
Sure. So it's looking at data is important too. Look at where you're getting your business and really focus on that. I will say so many people are saying, I need leads. I want to get leads, and really look at that. I'm not saying that's not a way to get business. I'm not. That is absolutely, some are very successful, but in doing that. But once I don't know why, that's always been so many realtors think that way. And so finally one day, around when I was at 10 million newer in Chicago, I wanted to look at my business and said, where am I getting my business? And it was 99% referral, past clients, friends, family, et cetera, your sphere. And I said, well, then I am going to continue providing excellent service to my sphere and take care of those who take care of me and reward them. And I started a gifting program to my clients, especially those who are big advocates. We at Busby Group have advocates. And when I say advocates, I'm talking, I have a client who sends me two friends a week of buying or selling.
Wow.
2 friends a week. And it's so, think about that versus a cold lead that you're chasing on a third-party platform. It's really neat when it's a friend, and we can have a fun banter about our friend, and and it makes it a warmer connection, and they're clients for life. So once I looked at the data and said, stop chasing the leads, go after those who already appreciate you, love you, worked with you, and know your service level, take care of those clients and continue to. And that's been a game changer. I do a gifting program. It is, we have a whole candle line just under Busby Group for Busby Group. And we have little messages like, I need to look up, right in the middle of shelter in place. We did a really like we were craving to all be outside. And so, but people were writing me saying, thank you so much for the candle, because it made me feel, just happy with everything going on. And then the plant, I send a plant twice a year.
Cool.
Anyways, we have this gifting program, and it's all Busby Group, branded, and just minor little things like that to show clients you're thinking of them, you care for them, has gone a long way for us. Taking care of those who already know and believe in you is huge.
I think that no one could have said it better that way, Julie. I think that really basing it off of taking care of the people who take care of you, that's so, unfortunately, that's missed a lot. And if you're tuning in and you're like, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying there, but be honest with yourself. Think about how many touch points, how many times do you pick up the phone? Do you see these people on a regular basis? Do you do pop buys, or do you gifting programs or client appreciation events? I mean, how often are you really there? Or is it just a magnet on a fridge, right? And then you wonder why 5-7 years goes by and you didn't get that phone call. So I think that follow-up, and it's said over and over, the fortunes in the follow-up. I think that nurturing those relationships, it's much easier to maintain than to gain. And I just love how you're mentioning that. And you gave tactical or palatable ways to do it, branded gifting, and really just being thoughtful with that time frame. Is there anything else that sticks out to you along that vein, Julie? Because I think that that's crucially important for everybody to know. I mean, on top of the gifting program, you have the concierge. You guys are touching in multitudes of times through your sphere of influence, your SOI. Anything else? Any other piece of advice in there?
Yes. You touched on client events, and I used to be really big into that as well.
Okay.
And while that's big, I've actually found a really great way to connect with your clients is actually giving them information. So I do free webinars all the time for my clients.
Wow.
And I call them casual conversations, where it's me and a mortgage broker and a designer, and we're telling you what we're expecting for the next year or what we're encountering right now. And we do informational webinars, throughout the year, and we're providing information. So yes, the gifting is great, so people know you care about them and you're genuine, but also provide information. And guess what? It's hosting a webinar is free. You just send out an email blast, ask one of your partners that you work with in the mortgage business or, design world or whatever. And you host it for 30 minutes and let people ask you questions. And just being a resource like that can go a long way to your clientele.
Wow. Huge. And I love the fact that you're looking at it from the physical nature, but then also the intangibles and the knowledge and the conversation and just the communication. That's key. I mean, there's so much there. I mean, anybody who's tuning in can apply those things and then see growth into revenue. And I agree with that. And coming at it from a digital standpoint and from a marketing standpoint, I think that so many people are looking for those leads, right? They're sourcing leads, or they're paying third parties, as you mentioned. One of the most simplistic things that can be done is just retargeting your sphere of influence, right? So if you're thinking about all the physicality that Julie's just mentioning, right? Think about it from a digital standpoint too, is, hey, you can communicate and engage and interact through retargeting with your sphere of influence. And I think that that's a wonderful way to go about it. And so many professionals are looking to other sources. They're almost, what's the adage? They're tripping over a dollar to pick up a penny, and it's right in front of you. Right. I mean, you noticed that on very early on, into the days of going into Chicago, right? So yes, I just think it's just a beautiful living, breathing example of what great people can do with the right intentions, Julie. So gosh, I mean, that's just awesome stuff. I mean, you're giving us so much information. I know you and I could talk all day long about this, but is there anything else you want to mention or leave before we kind of wrap everything up, Julie? This has been super great.
I touched on it about, knowing when to hire. I actually have had this conversation a lot lately. I'm in a lot of mastermind groups with other top brokers, and some of the challenges that they are in is, they hire as brokers who are 100% commission. I understand it's hard to commit to paying staff a salary because you're scared, because you're 100% commission, but have faith in yourself. And there's also ways that you can bring on someone, maybe as part salary and part commission, to where your overhead isn't as much and they get a piece of the business, and then they're rewarded for the work that you're able to close. I'm pointing that out because so many brokers are so scared to hire when they need it. And they'll have one admin and their $60 million production. And what is going on with the broker? The broker's up until, all hours of the night trying to get work done. And so is the admin. And that's no way to live. You need to be able to assess and see when the team or when yourself or your colleagues are getting burnt out. And maybe that's the time we explore one more person to help support us, because that's going to, you want to acknowledge that your team members are, people are assisting you are exhausted, and give yourself a break too. Right. So just having the wherewithal to see the horizon and know, okay, maybe I get creative here and bring someone on to be, even part-time, or, a hybrid of a part commission, part salary, or part hourly, just so you I'm telling you, it will help you grow exponentially. Oh, I mentioned when I was at 10 million, I brought on one admin. When I was 20 million, I brought on my first broker support. 30 million, another admin.
Wow.
Then, and then we just kept growing from there. But that's just that's an easy framework. Once you're at 30 million, you really know how to assess your business and help it grow even further. We're now 105 million this past year.
Unbelievable. I mean, but Julie, you look at that, and the beautiful thing is you've been through those portions of your career and those levels and steps, and you have the ability to now reflect or look back. And that's what's so beautiful about sharing of knowledge and information in these days and ages, is you don't have to reinvent the wheel or figure it out. There's true pros like you that have done it, that are freely sharing and giving this information out. It's just believing in yourself, as you mentioned, and then applying that knowledge and getting to work and being as consistent as possible. I mean, and I love that you laid out the framework. Now, it's obviously different for everybody, so you got to think about timeframes and what your comfort zone is, but ultimately it's kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, but it doesn't really matter where you're at. It's always, change is always kind of uncomfortable and there's some stress associated, but so I don't know if there's ever the right time if you want to base it that way, but you'll feel that pain, I guess, as you mentioned, like who wants to be working 24 hours, 7 days? And that's nuts. Right. I mean,
it's nuts. And we, as brokers, that's one of the hardest things is, your career can take over. And, it's important to have quality of life. You will better serve your clients and grow if you give yourself rest. You're with your children for dinner, or with your husband or your spouse. It's important to have you time because it helps you grow. When you have downtime, it motivates you to, take your business to the next level. So just I just, have a horizon, have a outlook like that to make sure you're taken care of. And if you're starting to grow your team, keep an eye on that as well.
Beautiful stuff. And so you threw something in there, Julie, which I would love to just pull out just a little bit, if you're fine with. And you'd mentioned masterminds, and kind of that opportunity to communicate with other like-minded individuals or top tier professionals. Can you share a little bit about your experience with that, and then just any encouragement that you might have out there for the audience to maybe do the same?
Yes. So I've always had a good relationship with brokers around the country. When shelter in place happened and we were all stuck at home, I thought, oh my goodness, I wonder what's going on in this part of the world. What's going on in this city? What are they seeing? So I reached out to a lot of the brokers that I know and created this small group. And at first it was almost like a therapy session of, oh my goodness, we're stuck inside. What are you working on right now? How are we getting through this? And what are you doing for your team? Or what do you do? How are you keeping morale up? It was literally like a therapy session. And then, are you guys opening back up? And like, it was just really, that was fascinating. But what is even more fascinating is now that, business is back and people are out and about buying with revenge. We are now sharing, market tips and what's working in that area. And here's something I'm doing here. And I also have to say, it's also my referrals between each other has grown as well. Wow. And again, this is something free for someone to establish. Find brokers in different regions. Maybe it's a region that your marketplace is moving to, or has where there's a back and forth a lot. It's important to reach out to someone and not just call and make a referral. Literally start a small group and start networking and share tips and advice. And we started it, I guess it was 2 years ago, and I just love my group. We are just so tight now. I started one locally in Chicago, and I started one with brokers in different regions throughout the city or throughout the nation. And it's just really been fascinating and rewarding too.
But I love that though, Julie, because it's such a two-way street. Everyone that's involved in there is giving and receiving and really just sharing that knowledge. But then in addition, taking ideas and implementing and what works and what doesn't, but then direct referral business. And you don't have to have this massive thing, just great tight knit groups of people and relationships, just like with your clients. It's the same with your colleagues. And I love the fact that you mentioned that, because it's a big thing, that's thrown around quite a bit, but not enough people really understand and implement it. You're guilty by association, positive or negative. And you really want to surround yourselves with those like-minded big thinkers, people that will motivate and push you as you do every single day. And that's how it's just that high tide raises all ships sort of thing. And I love it. And the fact that you're saying it means something because you're doing it in a big way, Julie. But when we're looking at it from that standpoint and basing it off of, I know we just scratched the surface of your knowledge and your information and just people being able to get a hold of you and absorb as much of you. So I always ask, what's the best way for the audience, if anybody who's watching or listening just loved what you were saying and connected, what's the best ways for them to reach out, to reach you, to learn more about you, sites, things like that, just for the show notes?
Sure. Everywhere on social, we're Busby Group. So okay. Insta, Facebook, all of it. We're Busby Group. But to reach me personally, I mean, it's not hard to find me.
Love it.
As realtors, it's pretty hard to not find us. But I'm Julie at Busby Group. My team laughs at me. I'm not great at texting. I wish texting had a way to flag a message, because clients will send me a counter offer in a text. And when you're getting a lot of text a day, they're like, oh, shoot, so don't text me, but definitely email, and I will make sure I respond to emails the same day. So I would love to hear from you.
Love it. Huge. So you heard it from Julie. I mean, social media platforms, emails, try not to text. But I think that's a great thing, Julie. And again, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. It was an absolute honor and a pleasure. You killed that. That was so great. Seriously. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you. It was so fun.
And I do have to say this, WN as an official real estate titan. So that is a badge of honor you can wear forever. No one will ever take it away. So that is yours for sure, Julie. But I can't thank you enough. And everybody, as always, thank you for your time and attention, your love and support. If you like here, we're doing with Real Estate Titans, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do have to give our sponsor a quick shout out, Lionbolt Media. If you are a real estate professional and you're looking at the digital aspects of your business, visit lionboltmedia.com. They got a free master course on there that you can take a look at for everything and anything to do with digital aspects for growing your business. We are live here on Real Estate Titans every Tuesday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody in the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. Thanks, Julie.
See you soon. Thank you. Bye.